I'm a court-appointed advocate for foster children and have been for a number of years. Typically what that involves is I would go to the foster home, speak with the children, play a game with them, ask them how they're doing, talk to the foster parents, how are the kids doing, what do they need, and then talk and call to other people, and then write a report to go to the judge. Not so fast. My last 2 cases have been 2-year-olds, and they've been virtual. So I've never seen these 2-year-old kids. It's quite an interesting experience having a conversation with a 2-year-old over Zoom. And I can't imagine the little girl looking at the telephone and waving to this person in this little rectangle. It was a little unusual, but you know, sometimes, again, it's better than nothing, but I'm looking forward to getting back person to person.
The office we closed for only a short time, but people need to get their stuff, so we opened up pretty quickly. Just cleaning a lot more, which I clean a lot anyway. Making sure the front counter is cleaned all the time. That's about it. You know, I'm in an office with a little window that I work with people over the counter, so.
I did work remotely. Both my husband and I were, again, fortunate enough that we could work remotely. I've gone back partially, yes, so a couple days a week.
Work experience, so much, not so much, but it definitely did take a toll on me, my time away from work. Because I care and a caretaker for my father as well as my brother and myself being included in that whole realm, I was out of work for about 3.5 months. So it was not until August of 2000 that I was able to go back to work. I had just started a new job. Prior to COVID, I was working in the medical field as an office manager at Cape Cod Hospital Cancer Center. This was years ago, and then I came back here with the intention of going back into medical. However, in an office setting, but I made a decision personally that I had done enough with office work, and I picked up a position with a job that's out of town, or out of the area, but I do some commuting. And I'm actually making COVID supplies. So it was a big turnaround, but we were wearing face masks. I have 12-hour shifts. I feel like I was in a hospital all the time. But the period of time where I couldn't work, I was constantly worried I wasn't going to have a job when I got back, but fortunately I was able to pick right back up where I left off. So I was very fortunate in that respect. But yeah, I was out of work for quite a while.
I was very thankful in having had the opportunity to already be a work-at-home mom who also homeschools. So having a stay-at-home job where I already had my office set up, I was already used to that format, it made it much easier for me to continue to do my job. The other people that live with us in our home were essential workers in construction and things like that, so for them, they still had to go out and do their job. So obviously different conditions, but so yeah, we were blessed that we were able to continue to work in pretty much the same manner as we were working before. When you're working from home, and in my particular job, I work in human resources, there were a lot of different policy changes that were happening as a result of COVID, a lot of employee fears about when they can return to work, what they can do to keep themselves safe. So there was a lot more work, a lot more hours of work than previously, because you're just, in addition to your normal responsibilities, you now have to incorporate all this fears and landscape into what I was doing. So in terms of organizing my day, I'd make sure that I got up a little earlier than I maybe normally would, to address those things and to get my work in, then transition to our homeschool time, and then just really try to fill up the rest of the day with home projects. I think everybody's house got a renovation of some sort during this time.
Well, I wouldn't say it has changed what I do. I still do the same, I provide the same service for my clients, but it definitely, evolved my business in a lot of different ways, just from coming here. When I first thought about getting this office space, I had a lot of growth in my business. I had more clients than I could really handle. I was looking to hire an employee and to help me with that workload. And that is what happened. I moved into this space. I hired my first employee, and the kids were back here during their remote school. And then because of COVID and what it did to the clients who I had in certain industries, like I have a hotel chain that I do magazines for, and the hotels were all shut down. I have a performance flamenco group that would do a performance every year that I would do a book for. They completely shut down. I have all of my clients in these industries that were affected by COVID, and therefore I lost, I would say, a big chunk, maybe 75% of my clients, and it completely made me have to go into the mode of trying to grow my business, find new clients, and more seeking new business, which I hadn't done so much of before because I just had some clients that had been with me for a long time. And anyway, so now, because of sort of switching gears and going into that mode of seeking out new clients, I have a whole new client base, and it's just completely different from where I was 2 years ago. Still doing the same service, but the clients and having an employee working for me, being in this office space instead of working at home, it's much different than it was 2 years ago.
So I was in the elementary school on March 16th as a paraprofessional in the 5th grade when, at the end of the day, the principal, Sarah Priestley, came over the PA system and addressed the entire school and told all of us that the classroom teachers would tell the students what to take home for the next 2 weeks. Now this was March 16th of 2020, for 2 weeks. At the boarding school, the phone began ringing that moms and dads wanted their sons home. And so by the beginning of that following week, so March 20th, 21, there were no more boys at the boarding school. They had all gone home at parents' requests. And all of us were laid off. Now the good news to that story, the executive director tapped into the Paycheck Protection Program within 3 weeks. I did not file for unemployment, and I frankly find that a point of pride that I did not do that. And once the director tapped into the Paycheck Protection Program, he brought folks back to do housekeeping and landscaping and training. And then by the 4th or 5th week, boys began returning. So that's a good news story to the boarding school.